It's a pleasure to meet you, man. Like, I found you
Same
actually
here.
on YouTube. I actually watched your videos, and I was like, man, I gotta get this guy on, just to
Oh,
talk
that's
to.
awesome.
Yeah. So,
Cool, man.
I think I found you on, what video was it? Well, I know you were doing the writing the 3 tracks. Like, it wasn't in a week or something.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
3 in 3 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did that go?
It was tough, man.
Tough.
I kind of got railroaded on the
Yeah.
last. Oh, actually, one day I got another job, so I had to do that. So I couldn't do the 3 tracks,
Yeah.
but yeah, it went pretty well. I
That's
mean,
good.
it was a good test of. And I was trying to do like trailer tracks, so it was a lot of a lot of layers and stuff.
Right.
So
Is that
it
out
was
of your
quite
wheelhouse? Is that what you're not?
a
you don't
little
normally-
bit, yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to get better at that because I want to do that more. So I think over the summer I'm going to do more trailer kind of stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
But normally I just do like film music, and I do some commercial stuff now too.
Oh, cool.
So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm kind of, it's like starting my hobby right now, looking
Okay.
to get into, I mean, I've been writing music since I was like 14. As you can see, I have
Yeah.
a bunch of guitars. I have a guitar player
yeah.
that wants to be a
Cool.
composer,
Yep. What kind of work are you doing? Just trying to get into it, or
Yeah, trying to. And well, bad story is last October, my profession is I'm an instructional designer. I went to college for it. I've been doing it for like 8 years. I was
cool.
working for Pearson Education, and in October I got laid off. So,
oh no,
so basically now I'm just freelancing, which
Right.
is actually it's kind of like a blessing in disguise, but
Sure.
it's still tough. So starting a business, it's really tough.
yeah,
So
it's hard.
yeah.
You really got to hustle, I think, as a
Yeah.
musician. Yeah.
yeah, and then so my idea or my goal is to do the freelancing, and then start to do music as well. And after a while, hopefully it's like a 50-50, or you know what I mean, like 70, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
I've done
Yeah, I still actually like teach to kind of.
okay.
I do like private lessons, so that kind of helps with financial.
Yeah, that's
You
what
know,
every
'cause you
composer
definitely-
tells me.
Yeah, as a musician, you got to kind of like branch out and try to do different things, I think, and
Yeah, diversify, teach.
yeah, totally.
Do-
That's why I got into like more commercial music too. Like doing ads and stuff. And
Yeah, like I when I went to college, I actually one semester I took all music classes when I went to community college. And you got to remember, I'm a guitar player, don't know how to
Yeah.
read music. I mean, nothing like that. And I was in Theory 1. I got a D. So I mean, that's pretty
no.
good for not knowing anything.
well, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that really opened me up a lot. And then what we used to do,
Cool.
this was like back in 2001 and 2. So like we were using Cakewalk. I mean, this is a long time ago.
yeah.
Just to get a
Yeah,
rig
yeah.
like we got today would have cost probably $10,000, $15,000. And so yeah, we do jingles and stuff. And I was like, dude, this is what I want to do. But life happens and you're young and you're like, well, I got to get a degree and get a job. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So
No,
and here I
totally.
am, I'm 36 and going, okay, life is, this is not what I want to do with my life. And actually, after I got laid off, it was kind of like, in the back of my mind for the last few years, I was like, okay, if this company lays me off, that's it. I'm just gonna do my thing, and
That's awesome.
so
I
I'm
think
trying to
that's
make it
good.
work.
Like you said, it's kind of scary, but I
It
think
is. It is definitely, and
Yeah.
but for somehow it all just seems to work out. If you just steer the
Totally.
course, do the work, put the time in, it just sort of happens. I mean, it's not quick, but
Yeah.
I like to kind of like what I think about composing too is I like to look back, like what did I do 6 months ago, and kind of compare where I'm at now to where I was, and then you
Sure.
can see your growth, and that kind of gives you more of a sense of okay, I'm getting better.
Yeah, no, totally. And I think that never stops because like I just did a movie like a year ago and I listen to it now and I'm like, wow, I would have totally did that differently.
Right. Yeah.
So I
same
think
way.
like even like something a year ago, or like you said, I mean, it keeps going,
Mm-hmm.
So
Never stop
yeah,
learning.
I can't listen to stuff like 5 years ago because it's like,
I can't
'cause,
listen to stuff I did 3 months ago.
Yeah,
like,
I
I'm one
know,
of those
it's
people.
crazy.
I'd like
Yeah.
listen to something. I'm like, oh God, I can't stand this. And then,
it's.
But then
yeah,
if you, like-
especially with the technology too, I
Right.
think with like samples,
yes.
like if I listen to older stuff with older samples, like wow, that sounds pretty bad, or
Mhm.
but So that's another thing too. You got to keep up on is like the whole technology.
It's production. I mean, that's what music is today. It's all production, and I've got that from a lot of guys. It's like got to have production chops because you're competing with guys that are like come from the pop world or that come from dance music and they're really good at that stuff. Maybe not good at the composing part, but it doesn't matter to your end listener and to your client. They don't care. It's like it sounds loud, sounds good, it's bassy. That's good. You know?
Yeah, no, that's a good point actually. And I was lucky because I went to school for music production and composition, so I kind of have like good production chops, I think. But
cool.
But yeah, I mean that's an interesting point because I think a lot of and even like reading music, like you don't really have to read music.
Right.
Because a lot of guys in the film world don't read music, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like you said, they're coming from a different background.
Yep. Pop
and that seems to be the trend now, you know?
It's a lot of dance guys, I've noticed.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, look at Junkie XL.
Yeah, Junkie XL. And he's doing pretty good stuff, man. I mean, look, he landed at Mad Max and Batman v Superman. I like some of his stuff. Mad Max I thought was awesome. Like, I love the drums, the guitars he put in there. Yeah.
Yeah, his stuff always fits, and it's got that cool edge, like you said, you know?
And, you know, I mean, I don't know your age. I mean, you're probably a little bit older than me, but like we come from the same kind of like, you know, like the John Williams, the classic orchestral scores, and we're like, so this world we're living in now, we're just like, yeah, it's cool. I mean, I love it. I like the sounds, but it does get a little stale. It's kind of like pop music. Once one guy hits a big song, and then it kind of just like, okay, now the next 2 years we're gonna hear songs like that until somebody comes along and it does something different. But I think,
you know, it's that chord progression that we all hear in all the movies. You know, it's like
what is it? The
3/6 or whatever.
Yeah, 3/6 or 5. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, totally.
that Hans Zimmer uses.
Yeah, and you got to sort of like do that. Like people ask me to do that, so it's like okay.
Yep.
So you got to kind of like, even though we hear it a million, but it's like something that's like in the collective consciousness, you know.
Yep. It's
so people like associate that with like epic or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
So
I mean that's
kind of play the game, whatever, but
it's kind of like everybody likes patterns, like it just as humans, you know, like we like patterns and we like something familiar, and then like that's what Williams is really good at. Like if you ever listen or transcribe his stuff, it starts out very simple. He grabs you, and then about you know the second time, third time around, he just like, okay, now I'm doing this, but you're with it because like he set you up, he held your hand, and that's very difficult to do. I just saw John Williams actually.
Cool.
In was it March or April? No, April. He came to my area. I live outside of Cleveland, and I'm in Ohio. And he came in and he did some conducting of his scores and stuff. And
that's
like,
awesome.
I didn't know the dude's 80. I think he's 86 or 87. I mean, like
he's
literally, he's up there. And like just watching him do what he does, you're like, I get why he is John Williams. You know, because he's just. Up there doing it, and it's like, God, man, for 2 hours just doing this, and he like really gets into it, you know, and it's like
that's crazy.
It blew me away, and it was really eye-opening for me because, of course, a guy coming from I'm a heavy metal guitar, you know, whatever you want to call it, and
I'm from like heavy metal background too.
I thought you were, man. I thought you were
because like,
about that. Yeah, because you were like writing tracks. I was like, dude, he's got to be into like some of the stuff I'm into, and that's why I wanted to talk to you because I was like, we have similar backgrounds and similar styles, and I was like,
I used to play in like metal bands. And stuff.
Yeah, I could tell. I could tell.
Yeah, I'm a drummer, so.
Oh, there you go. Well, that's the thing. I could tell you're a drummer.
I started with drums and guitar, so.
Okay, I could tell you're a drummer. Like you always tell a drummer. Like you could just tell a drummer because like the rhythm, they get it, and the rhythms are really tight. And like me, since I'm a guitar player, I let the drummer do the rhythm stuff, and I play off of them, and that's why my rhythm is not the best. But so I'm sure you like listen to Yngwie Malmsteen and all that stuff.
Oh, totally. Yeah. That's what got me into classical, which is kind of funny.
Me too.
Everyone's like, "How did you get into like Bach?" I'm like, "Through Yngwie."
Yeah, me too. Well, first it was Metallica did the S&M thing, and like I was a big Metallica fan, and I was like, "You can do this." And then that's what led me down. Cool.
Michael Kamen, I think.
Yep,
right?
yep. No, I like him. I like his Band of Brothers soundtrack.
Oh, yeah, totally.
God, that's so good. So I started loving that. And then I had a neighbor that actually listened to that stuff. I was just getting into like Steve Vai and Joe Satriani kind of thing. And he gave me tapes, cassette tapes. I told you how long ago this was.
I feel you on that, yeah.
And he's like, here's a dude called Yngwie, man. Check out him. And I put it on, and I was like, "What?"
Like Rising Force or whatever.
Yeah, Rising Force. I think it was that or Marching. It was Marching Out, I think, too.
Oh yeah. That was the second album. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just like, "What You know what I mean? I was
Oh,
just like, my mouth just like dropped. And this was when I was a teenager. I think I was like 17 or 18 years old. So
yeah.
I was kind of a little early to all that stuff. And then I got into Cacophony and, Jason Becker, Marty Friedman, and all of them, Paul Gilbert, Racer X, all that stuff. And
me too. Yeah.
I'm 36. So, I mean, I'm like, not that I shouldn't be listening to that music, when I was 18 years old. So this would have been like 2000, 2001. Nobody knew what I was listening to. Nobody had a clue. And this is before the internet was like it is today. That's when Napster was going on. So I would download all the stuff off Napster, and because you couldn't find it, you couldn't go to the store and buy a CD. They didn't carry it.
No, that's true.
Back then.
I think I'm a little older than you, so I remember when like that stuff was like popular.
Yeah,
sort of.
I'm a weird kid.
I
was weird.
80s.
Yeah, MTV. If it wasn't for MTV, I wouldn't know about a lot of the music that I knew. Because when I was a kid, I'd watch it during the summer, and they'd play all the cool videos and like hair metal. I was listening to hair metal back when I was in elementary school, and Guns N' Roses, and
totally, yeah.
And so I'm a weird.
I was into
person.
I'm a big like Iron Maiden fan.
Okay,
so
Iron Maiden.
I got into them like through MTV and stuff. Okay, it's kind of funny.
I had a buddy.
You'd see like Michael Jackson and Prince and like.
Yep.
And that was cool, but then you'd see like Iron Maiden and be like, wow, that's totally different, Like
I had a buddy that was a huge Iron Maiden fan. I hated him at first, and then after I heard it so much, I started liking them, and I have a lot of their sound. I love them. I great guitar players and their harmonies and everything. So,
but it's funny if I'm doing like epic tracks, I'm like, wow, that's like Iron Maiden progression, Like if you think about it,
hear
like,
it.
Their chord progressions are totally like what people are doing for like epic trailer tracks, which is kind of funny. So I think that background kind of helped me in a way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to get it. See, the thing about epic music is like I like it, but like like we said, it's just it all sounds the same, and I want to like put my spin on it, but keep the epicness. So I want to try to find.
That's the thing. That's the thing.
It's very tough.
Yeah, because and that's what I was going to talk about with that progression that everyone uses. Like you can put your own spin on it, and like do like a little hook or throw a different chord in there to make it unique. You know. So I think that's the key, and that's what makes like guys who are really good at that different is the little details they put in.
Right. I want to try to incorporate guitar.
Totally the key.
I want to try to incorporate guitar into my tracks. Like I've been listening to a lot of Brian Tyler.
Actually,
he does that a little bit, and he's a guitar player, and you could tell he does that bow thing. It's like forgot what it's called.
Like EBow?
No, he actually has there's a guy that makes this instrument. Yeah, it's like a guitar. I can't think of the name right now.
But sustainer, like sustain.
It's just a guitar-like thing, and he uses a bow. But yeah, like sustains, and he puts all like his effects and kind of like doing like an ambient thing. You could hear it a lot on his like more recent scores. I can't think of the name of what they're called. They're like hand built. The guy's on YouTube, and I'll put the link down, but I can't think of it right now. It's like really interesting name, and he's like a big endorser of it. And I remember seeing him when I kind of started getting into the filmy thing. I think it was about 2012. He was doing that. I was like, dude, that's awesome. That's something I could do. But I was like, okay, for that price, I can't do that right now.
Yeah, but you know what you can do, and what I do a lot is actually like reverse the guitar.
Yeah.
So I'll play a track, and then I'll go in and reverse all the sound waves.
Okay.
Which is kind of like tedious, but it's a cool sound because it gives you that like
that
more like string like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got an EBow. It's just like one of those things. Like I'm so because I'm not a keyboard player, so I'm trying to learn the keyboards enough to be proficient. It's like I've been doing that so long. Like my guitar chops, they went down. I tried playing and I'm like, okay, my fingers are not like what they used to be.
It's hard to keep everything up,
It is. Yeah.
I mean, my drum chops sort of went to crap too, but.
But if you spent like a week playing again, I bet you'd all come back. And I mean,
it would. But I used to play like super fast, like death metal, and I don't even know if I mean, I can kind of do that now, but as far as endurance goes,
right. I don't know how those guys do it. Like, you got to. There must be a certain age point where it's just like, okay, we can't like keep that level. But there's some dudes that are still doing it, rocking it.
Yeah, there are like some older dudes like Gene Hoglan, who play with like Dark Angel, who's like pretty old now, but he's like super, like. And he plays with like leg weights for like a few of the songs of the set, and then takes them off, so it's like easier.
Yeah,
it's weird. Yeah,
that's definitely endurance training.
Yeah, it's like hardcore. Yeah,
that's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just
cool.
guys
I always love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, me too. Like I said, that's my background is metal, and I got into that stuff in high school. Of course, my entry was Metallica, like everybody's, and then Megadeth and the thrash stuff, and then when they put out the Garage Inc., then that's when I discovered Merciful Fate, And I was like,
Oh,
who's
I
these
love Merciful
bands? And I
Fate,
love Merciful
King
Fate.
Diamond, all that.
Yeah, King Diamond. And then just sort of like, you just start finding all these bands that you just like, it just kind of leads you somewhere else. And like I said, I eventually
Well, that's what led me into like I said, into classical.
Yeah,
then I got heavy into classical and went to school for it.
That's cool.
But I still keep those metal roots,
Oh yeah.
A lot of people are like, how can you listen to metal and then listen to like Schubert or whatever? But
it's very similar.
Like, well,
people
they're
don't understand
related,
that. They are. They're very related. I mean, if you listen to old heavy metal back, like the 80s, 70s, 80s stuff, they take a lot like from classical music. They really do.
Yeah, even like early Scorpions has a heavy like, classical with like Uli John Roth.
Yeah. Oh, I got into him too because now he does the classical thing, and I got that was all like back in the early 2000s. Like just got into all those guys, and then after a while, you're just like, okay, I'm never gonna be those guys. I can appreciate it, so let's stick to what I can do and be good. But I went through that phase where like I gotta be, the master at all this stuff. I think we all go through that when we're younger. It's like you gotta be good to make a living in this, and that's like comes back to the point of what I do this because I got caught up in that, and I think a lot of younger guys or anybody just gets caught up in that, like you have to be good to make a living, and it's like every guy I've talked to, they even admit like I'm not the best composer, but like I do this really well, and that's what gets me work, and how people get work is crazy. You just
I think it's about finding your voice and just having good ear and getting your point across. I think like. I mean, look at Junkie XL. Technically, he's not a great piano player, but he has a good ear, and it's like his good sensibility, and I think that's the most important thing,
Same here, yeah. When I hear people's tracks, I can always like. Sometimes I think I should have been a producer because like I hear something, I'm like, you should try to do that. And I do track reviews on my YouTube. I try to do them once a month, and people send me tracks, and I don't like get into the. The nitty gritty of like what chords and all that stuff. I just I make it from a listener's point of view. It's like, hey, if I heard that track, would I like it? And I do that stuff, and I'm pretty good. I mean, I'm not like just talking myself up, but I really think I'm pretty good at that, like naturally, of how to make this stuff work. And then it's like when I listen to my tracks, it's like, yeah, why don't I get that spark? Because it's your own music, and you're just like, okay.
Yeah, well, you're critical of your own music.
Yeah, I'm very critical.
Of course.
I'm trying to get over that. And I talked to the last one I did. He was telling me that. He's like, he got over that because he does like trailer music. He does commercial TV work. And he's like, you just got to knock it out. He's like, I do 3 or 5 tracks a day. And it's like, you just got to do it. You can't get hung up on like, oh, this has got to be a great track. You just like, whatever, and get it done.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, everyone has a tendency to go back and like tweak it for like hours and days and months. And it's like, and at some point you just have to kind of like.
Just let it go and let it be.
Yeah, totally. And I think like. It kind of suffers sometimes if you overwork it,
It does, because then
you lose that original energy.
Right.
Some of the best things are stuff that you do under the gun, where like someone's like, "I need this in 2 days."
Right.
Some of my best work has come from that because it's like, and then you kind of like. That's it. You can't like overwork it and
overthink it.
So you get like the essence of it. I think.
Right. Yeah. You just kind of like throw something down, and you got to be happy with it. And I totally agree with that. And I think for creative people, you have to have that. You got to have a deadline. And that's something I tell my subscribers, and even myself, I'm trying to practice is just set a deadline, because if you don't, you're going to just keep, like you said, you're going to tweak it. You'll never finish. And
I know
you're not going to make it as a professional.
No,
we're all guilty of it. We're all guilty of it.
But I think you get better at like mixing and
and just listen to. I tell people to reference those kind of tracks you're trying to write.
Totally.
And
I always tell people like bring the track into your DAW and look at like the sound wave and like analyze the frequencies and be like, look how loud it is or whatever. Yeah, because it's got to stack up to that. You got to like know what you're like, because it's super competitive.
Especially trailers. Trailer music that's like, I'm like, I don't want to get in that game, but it seems fun because it's like what they do, like
kind of fun.
1 to 2 minute tracks, right? That's like 1 to 2 minutes, I think, time length, and
it's you'd probably simple. Be good at it because it's a lot of guitar driven stuff. I'm
gonna try it. Yeah, I'm gonna.
So you might want to embrace it.
Yeah, I totally do. I want to bring in some of those like Steve Vai, like those instrumental kind of things into my music with guitar, and it's just finding out how to do that and make it work. That's the thing.
I think Steve Vai is actually on the Halo, one of the Halo.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he did the intro thing, and I remember hearing that. I remember hearing that. Like, he has a very I've seen him.
Yeah, when I heard it, I'm like, someone's ripping off Steve Vai.
That's Vai.
Like, oh yeah, it's him.
It's him. I've met him. I've actually met him.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I met him in Orlando. I used to live in Orlando, and he had his concert came there, and he has that thing where you could pay to go backstage and met that guy. Cool. I'm telling you, he is the real deal. Like, he doesn't put on an act. He is
he's a crazy musician.
He's a nice dude. He actually he sat down for a half hour and just talked about everything. He actually got Evo. He was talking about, he actually passed it around the room. He's like, I probably shouldn't be doing this, but I feel cool with you guys. And he actually passed around Evo and let everybody touch it, look at it.
Wow, that's awesome.
And that guitar is like his special guitar. He's had that for
totally
30 years now. He's the real, I mean, he's the real deal. He's a nice dude. And
that's awesome.
I was honored to meet him. My next one I want to meet is Satriani. I mean, that's another dude I want to meet. And of course, Metallica, but we'll see. I've met Alter Bridge. I've met Alter Bridge. I interned at a studio in Orlando, just to do it. You know, I just wanted to do it to see how a real studio works. And I don't know if you know who Alter Bridge is.
No.
Mark Tremonti. You know who he is, I'm sure.
Who?
Mark Tremonti. He used to play in Creed.
Okay.
Then they morphed into Alter Bridge after Creed broke up. It's Miles Kennedy. He's playing with Slash. Miles Kennedy, he's a vocal guy and he plays guitar.
Cool,
I met all those dudes and they're legit too. They're really nice guys. And the producers, Michael Basquiat, they call him Elvis, and he's done a lot of the hard rock bands. Like he just did the Seven Dust record. He did Slash's last record. He was another cool dude too. Just
so they worked out of that studio that you?
Yeah, it was down in Orlando. He actually, I think he doesn't do it now. It's Studio Barbasso. Barbasso, whatever the thing from Pirates of the Caribbean, I think. Barbasso or whatever. And he actually had a studio, but then I think he actually made it in his house now. So. So he just has them come down. But yeah, he did Slash's last record. I was like, damn, why can't I still be interning? Because that's another dude I want to meet, Slash, but I don't think that ever happened.
Yeah.
I was influenced to him early guitar playing days. He just has something about him that, I don't know, it's
he's
very
a great
unique.
Player. He's really
he's really good
player,
and very emotional. And of course, because I used to love Michael Jackson as a kid. You mentioned Michael Jackson. I was like, I loved him as a kid. And
me too. Like Beat It when that came out.
Yeah, all that stuff. And that dude, if there's a video on YouTube of him actually demoing, I think Beat It, and he doesn't play any instruments, so he did it all by like vocals and like the beatboxing. It's on YouTube. You gotta check it out, man.
I gotta check that out.
It's really cool, and I was blown away because the story is I heard Quincy. He came to Quincy Jones and told him like, I have this song for an idea, Beat It, and Quincy's like, I don't hear a song there. So Michael went back to his apartment, got an 8-track or whatever, and put it all down, everything, and then told it to Quincy, and then now it's like it is today. Beat It.
Wow.
It's crazy.
That is crazy. That's cool.
So, like, what are you working on, right? I mean, you said you do films. Like, what's your favorite type of stuff? Just film work, or you kind of like to do everything?
I like doing everything. I like, I mean, I just did an album, too, like a metal album.
Cool.
So, but, I've done, like, horror movies, but yeah, I actually want to get into different genres. Like my next movie, starting in the fall, is going to be like a science fiction movie.
Oh, cool. So it's kind of out of your wheelhouse a little bit, right?
It's a guy in L.A. Yeah, it's the guy that actually did Bunnyman, those films.
Yeah, I was watching some of those. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to do like a science fiction thing together. So
cool.
It should be fun.
That's
so
on
I'm
my
psyched
goal.
about that because I've always loved like sci-fi, fantasy stuff.
What kind of, I mean, if you could talk about a little bit, like what are they looking for? Do you know, or you just haven't really got to that stage yet?
We haven't gotten to that stage yet, but it's sort of like he's a big fan of like the Blade Runner kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So especially the Vangelis kind of
synthy stuff.
So a lot of synthy stuff.
Ambient synth stuff.
Yeah, which I love because I'm getting to like more analog again. I have some old analog synths, so I get to fire those up again. They still work, but
if they still, I mean, they're coming back. Like all that stuff's coming back because it was kind of big in the '80s for a while, and now it's coming back again.
It's cool. I think it's cool that it's coming back because there's definitely a cool like vibe with it, It's a little harder to control.
Yeah, it's very unique,
and you can't like save presets and stuff. So that's the only thing. There's
You're
no
committed.
like recall.
You got to commit to that sound, and then
you take pictures of like that's what I do of the settings.
Oh yeah. Well, nowadays you could do that since you have your phone. I mean, imagine that back in the day.
That as a guitarist, taking pictures of like
the dials,
the knobs. Yeah,
I do that too. I used to do that too.
We used to write them down like we had notepads of like the settings, guitar settings.
Oh yeah, I used to do that too. Or you just kind of, or you never touched it. Like the
elusive tone. Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, we've come a long way. I mean, because like I said, I'm old enough to remember the old days, before all this digital stuff. It was just kind of taking shape when I was kind of in high school and in college.
Yep.
So I relate. Yeah, I relate to it. And I think there's something to it, you know, like I think we've lost some stuff when it comes to music because the art of performance is kind of taking a back seat a little bit. And like we're guys that come from metal where it's like, dude, you know the part, you sit down, you knock it out, you know, and if it takes you 50 takes, you got to do it, you know. And nowadays it's like everything's got to be perfect, and you know, it's all and I think we've lost something, you know, a little bit, but I think it's cool because now we're doing things that we couldn't even think was possible back then.
Yeah,
so I don't know. I kind of stand weird on that.
A lot of times, like I'll play stuff in, and if it's not perfect, I'll leave it in there.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember you mentioned that. I don't like quantize everything. You know?
Yeah. Especially drum parts, right? I think I remember you mentioned that in one of your videos. Yeah.
Oh yeah, especially drum parts.
Yep.
And I like if you're overlaying like percussion tracks to have it like flam a little bit.
Right.
Because it makes it sound bigger.
It
like
does.
A group, you know.
Yeah.
And it's the same with string sounds. Like.
Yep.
Like if I overlay string libraries, I'll have them. They'll be off. I'll play them like twice, you know, or 3 times, whatever.
Do you play everything in, or do you ever copy? Do you play everything in?
Sometimes I'll copy and paste, but I play everything in though.
Like, I have a hang up with that. I gotta play everything in. If I can't play it, then it's not legit. Like that was one of my hang-ups too, because I come from guitar
player. How technical it is, you know. I mean, if you're, you need like a guitar synth.
Then I know. I've been talking to guys about that.
Could be cool because then you could have the MIDI, you know.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I mean, they have that.
They're pretty fast now, like the tracking.
Yeah, I've thought about it.
It used to be like a lot of lag.
Yep.
But
I've talked to a few guys and they said it's pretty cool. I don't know. It's like I'm so used to the keyboard thing now, but I think it would be cool to play a guitar. I just don't know how you would do your expression and all that stuff. Is it by knobs or?
That's true. You maybe a pedal.
Like probably a foot pedal. Yeah.
Yeah, expression pedal it's called.
But it's there. I've been thinking about it. I just haven't pulled the trigger. Because I really want to play the piano because all the great composers play piano. You know,
it's good to play the piano, and I think like that brings up a good point of like the voicings will be different on guitar and piano. You know,
right? Exactly.
Like the way you play a chord on guitar is more spread out.
Yep. And octaves, it's more octave based. It's like you're covering 3 octaves. I think if you do
it's more like open voicings. Yeah, and it'll be more closed with piano.
Yep.
Like but it's funny because I play guitar too, so sometimes I'll play piano chords like a guitarist. Like I like that spread sound.
Right, me too. Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting.
It is. Yeah, I think you could tell a guitar player from a piano player when they write. And like I said, in drummers too, I can tell right away if they're a drummer because they usually have complex rhythms or there's stuff. You know, they have more things going on in rhythms. Like they're very rhythmic based, and I could spot it like that. Sometimes I could spot guitar players, but like. There's a lot of guitar player composers, more than I think what most people like. Alan Silvestri's a guitar player. He's a jazz guy.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think Williams, he's just he's a piano dude. You can tell Williams is a piano dude.
Oh yeah.
Because it's all triads, like those trumpets. That's all triads, and like that was a big epiphany for me when I figured that out. I was like, that's all he's doing. He's just moving triads around.
Totally. And like you said, it's really kind of simple when you look at it.
Yeah.
But you could say the same about Beethoven too. Like Beethoven's themes are just like a lot of them just outline chords. You know?
That's what a lot of melodies are.
People connect with it. You know, like you said.
Yep. Yeah, I'm one of those people that overthinks it. I have to like make it more difficult than it is, and that's just I
do the same thing.
It's a lack of experience. I don't. Yeah. Is it just like it's just who we are? It's just this.
Yeah, it's just. But you at some point you have to sort of like pull it back. I think. You know, a lot of times I'll go too far and be like, wait a minute, like normal people aren't going to hear what I'm trying to do. You know?
Right. That I think it's just experience.
Like know like what the target audience is. Or,
yeah, it's like simplify. If you think it's that, go back one step and then try that maybe. Or
the next day I'll listen to it, be like, oh my god, like what was I? I went like way too far with this, you know.
That next day is the worst. You're like, because the night before you're like, okay, man, dude, I'm feeling that track.
Where was my head at when I did this?
Like I love this track. This is awesome. I can't wait to do it tomorrow and finish it. You push play and you're like, what was I thinking? This is crap.
Isn't that weird? It's such a weird thing.
It is.
It's like your perception changes.
It does. I think you just get caught up in it and you don't realize.
That's why I like to take walks, like breaks when I'm writing a lot.
Yeah.
It really gives you perspective.
It does. That's a good advice.
Yeah, totally do that when you're like, if you're like working stuff for like 2 or 3 hours, just like make yourself take a break.
Right.
I mean, it's hard to pull yourself away.
It is. That's where I'm coming from, that performance
sit there all
thing.
night until you like fall over, you know?
Oh yeah, like that's that performance thing, because now we compose
Yeah.
in chunks in a DAW. It's like when I was, back in
Totally.
high school and writing, I would sit down with my guitar and just work the whole song out while I played it to make sure all the sections worked. And I think now we kind of write in sections or 8 bars or 4-bar chunks. And so you
Right.
have like that 8 bars that just sounds amazing, but then you go back to what you wrote like 2 hours ago and then you play it, or like, what? This doesn't even make any sense, because like now I'm so far
It's
ahead
like-
of where I was supposed to be. That's the difficult thing for me, and that's something I'm trying to.
Well, that's even like multiplied when you do like a movie,
Yeah, I bet.
because
Ooh.
the arc is like, like 2 hours or whatever.
Right.
So it's like you really have to think of. I try to do like the first and last scene or something like
Right.
that, so then I can bridge it. But
I've
you
never
really
done a
have
full
to, like,
movie, so
outline stuff with that.
right. I've heard people
super
like
important.
the old school film composers, they would write their themes first. So they
Sure.
have those. They write all their themes first, and then they would go from there, because eventually what's going to happen is the stuff that you write at the beginning is not going to match with the stuff in the end. But some people, they don't write it from the beginning to end. They just kind of pick parts and then write it and then fill out the space. That, I mean, I guess it's whatever works for you. But that's another thing that goes to the new age that we're in, because like Williams or those guys, Goldsmith
But
and
thematic.
yeah, they would just go in, spotting session, then they would go home, not with the film, and think about it, sit at a
With the
piano, write
timing,
out the themes, because they had it all up there, and then with whatever their notes were. But now we're like constantly seeing the video, seeing the film while you write, because you're writing to the parts.
True.
So I think that's changed things too a little bit.
Yeah, but I think what you said is a good point. Like the theme is super important to
It
have
is.
like a chord progression in the theme, and then figure out, okay, how much mileage can I get out of this?
Right.
Like I
Repurposing
know
it.
it's a good theme if I can like spin it out in many different ways. Like, okay, it can be like for a sad section, or it could be like for an action scene,
Right.
the same theme. That's how you know if a theme is good, I think, if it like has legs, you know what I mean?
Yep.
If it can, like,
Repurpose it.
carry,
You
yeah,
can repurpose
totally.
it. Yeah.
Because all the great themes, but by the same token, a lot of new movies don't even have themes really.
They
It's just
don't.
like textures.
Yeah.
But I mean, that in itself is a theme too,
It could be. Yeah, I mean,
like sometimes the theme is like a sound.
right. And you
not-
hear
not
it
so
over
much
and over again.
Melodic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, I
So
think
it
it's
has to be interesting sound,
right.
It's
I
not
think
really
it's just
case.
the way we write movies. We're not doing the 3-act structure. We write movies completely different, like we
Very
used to, and so the reflection. So the music is reflecting that. That's my theory. Is like when you go back and watch, like, because I've been going back and watching older movies, like from like the 50s, 60s, and 70s. I watched Chinatown, which
Oh, yeah, that's
Goldsmith
great.
did. I've never
That's a
seen it
great
before. I was blown away, and I was like, man, we've changed. Things have changed because he hits those themes, and it's just.
But you know what? I think it's coming back a little bit.
I think it is. Yeah.
The thematic stuff, because even in like Junkie XL, I see him using like a lot of themes.
Yeah,
that
Mad
come
Max
back.
he did. Yeah, Mad Max he
Yeah.
used a couple. Mhm.
Yeah. So I think so. Hopefully that'll come around again, because I think that.
Well, through
I
the
always
90s
prefer that.
and 2000s, remember it was like not cool to have themes. Like, it was just
Exactly.
like everybody kind of went away from that. And all the guys that are coming up now, these film composers, if that's what they're inspired by, like Tarantino and all those big guys,
Sure.
that's what they know.
Like Morricone or whatever.
Yeah, too.
Yeah.
Well, then we have a lot of needle drop stuff, too.
Totally.
Like,
Sure.
just kind of songs and stuff, and they score
Oh yeah.
from songs, which is cool. I dig it if it fits the movie.
Yeah, but that even started in like the 70s, when they started to like try to have hits in their movies.
Right. Yep.
They'll have like, well, we need like a hit single, or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's cool. I mean, that's a whole other thing. It's like
Scorsese does that a lot. The needle drop.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
totally. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's always that like Rolling Stones song, right?
I never used to be a big fan
That's
of
in,
them.
like every movie.
Yeah, I never used to be a fan of them, and when I got older,
Yeah.
I appreciate them. I like them now. So
I think Keith Richards, he joked actually. He was like, "There's more of our music in Scorsese movie than like the documentary he did on us."
that's
Like
crazy.
Goodfellas has more like Rolling Stones songs than like
That's true.
our documentary or whatever.
Their songs are used everywhere, and that's what I'm saying. I hear them all the
Gimme
time,
Shelter
and
all that.
just sort of implant like that was like that Iron Maiden thing. I hated them, but then they just grew on me. Same with U2. I never used to like U2.
Oh yeah,
I
my
hated
dad was a
U2.
huge Rolling Stones fan, so I kind of grew up listening to
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
U2. I had
But,
buddies that would listen. We would back in the day when you had like disc changers, like you could put like 50 discs
Oh,
in
yeah.
there. So
Yeah,
they would put
yeah.
like all the U2 albums
Yeah,
in sequential order, and we'd listen to them all night. I'm like, all right, guys, we need to listen to some more than just you two. But
Oh
then
my
it,
God,
like,
yeah.
I heard it so much that like I
Good
started
stuff,
to
yeah.
appreciate it, you know, for what it is. And I like a little of their stuff. My favorite album is probably Zooropa because it's trippy.
Oh
and,
yeah, it is cool.
yeah, I like that stuff, like trippy music
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Pink Floyd and you know all that
Yeah,
stuff.
totally.
So
Yeah, I love that too.
yeah, the trippy
That
stuff.
was the first CD I got, actually, was Pink
wow.
Floyd.
Oh wow, well
So
that's a
it's
good first CD.
Yeah, because I'm like, this would be cool because I had like Dark Side of the Moon
Dark
or
Side of the
whatever.
Moon.
It
Yeah.
had all the effects and stuff.
I think mine was Silverchair, Frog Stomp.
Oh, nice.
The 90s.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
There you go. I was into Green. That was my first concert. Was Green Day in 1994. I think I was
Oh, funny.
13 years old. I went to a concert. They came to my hometown, and and it was on Thanksgiving Day. So I got to see Green Day in the Dookie tour, which is pretty cool.
Oh yeah,
Pretty
yeah,
cool.
that was a big album.
Yeah, that's when they were huge.
like their
and-
breakout album. Yeah.
Yep. And then I
Which
saw
a lot of people, I guess, a lot of the punk people were kind of like,
and I wasn't a punk
they
guy.
sold out or whatever.
Yeah, I just like Green Day because I heard
Which
their
is
songs.
weird because it's like, why? Because they're selling
Oh, yeah,
albums.
yeah.
You know?
Yep, I like
The
Green
sound
Day.
didn't really change that much.
They were more poppy though. They
They were always kind of
yeah,
more
they were always
in
poppy.
the
I
early
mean,
stuff, you
go
know?
back and listen to Dookie, and you're like, okay, I can sing
Yeah.
these songs. They're like a punk
Yeah,
band.
totally. Like
They were
pop
the
punk,
first
yeah.
pop punk bands, you know, kind of Blink
Totally.
182, kind of like took it further. But I think Green Day was one of the
Yeah.
first, and Offspring too. I love the Offspring.
Oh yeah,
I think they kind of started it too. And then I remember this vividly how I got into heavy metal. There was a song on their what was that album? The one that after Dookie, I think it was Geek Stink Breath. They had that really like didn't like really hard riff. It was like didn't.
Oh, I know the one you mean.
Didn't. Yeah, I was like, I got to hear
That
more
almost
of that.
sounds like a Led Zeppelin riff.
Yeah, it was
that
just
Led
like
Zeppelin.
really heavy, and I was like, I got to hear more music like
Cashmere or
that.
something.
And I watched. This was when Metallica came out with Load, and they did like that MTV used to do like the rockumentary thing, like the whole like what they
Yeah.
went through. And I remember hearing when they were playing. I think it was Master Puppets, but I didn't know. So I ran
Yeah.
to my local store and I bought Ride the Lightning, and I bought Kill 'Em All. And Ride the Lightning, I put that on, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
Oh, yeah.
That first
I remember
intro, dude, I was
for
like,
sure. Yeah.
"Holy cow!" And that was it. Like I was in. I bought, and Ride the Lightning probably to this day is still my favorite Metallica album.
Yeah, me too. I love the sound of it too.
It's just
It's
there's
really
something
warm
about
sounding.
it. There's just something
Yeah.
about it that's
I
completely
like
different.
Puppets though, probably.
I like
the
Puppets
best.
too, but there's just something about Ride the Lightning that just I don't know what it is, but there's just the songwriting and
It's good.
the songs are so good. But yeah, Master.
I think Cliff Burton had a lot to do with the writing in those early albums.
Oh yeah,
you know?
he did. And he was
And when he
classically
passed
trained.
away, it definitely changed. You know?
Oh yeah, and he's classically trained. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
you can hear it with his bass parts, and he was harmonizing on. He's doing stuff on bass that like nobody did. It
Oh,
was
it's
just
great,
like
yeah.
the guy was a freak, and
I got to see them on Master Puppets tour. That's how old
Ooh.
I am.
that's awesome.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was really cool.
What was that? 86?
Yeah, it was like 86.
Yeah. Oh, that's Metallica, man.
With Metal Church opening up.
Oh,
You ever
Metal
heard them?
Church. Yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty awesome. Yeah,
Wow.
I love them too. I love their first two albums.
Mm-hmm. So you got to see them in their prime.
But actually, it was right after Cliff passed away.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
So that must have been 80.
But-
Yeah, 80s. Yeah, a little after 80s. So Jason joined the
Yeah,
band.
so
then.
Jason jumped in the middle
Yeah.
of the tour, which I don't know how they continued to tour after that tragedy, but
They just did it.
yeah, it's crazy.
That's
But-
another sad thing, man. Jason, when he left, I was shocked. That's when I
Yeah,
stopped.
because he's an awesome bass player.
Dude, he never
I
got the
actually
credit.
saw him in Flotsam and Jetsam back in the day.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, his old thrash band.
Like, and
yeah,
then they
he's
screwed him
awesome.
on Injustice. They turned his bass down.
I
And-
know. That's ridiculous. That whole thing is ridiculous.
But I get it. You know, it's like, dude, you're coming in here thinking you're gonna, you know,
Yes, but-
after Cliff, you know, it's like, come on, I get it. I mean, but just like
Yeah,
to
I
know
know.
that dude was with the band, loved the band, and then just one day goes, I'm out. I get it
Yeah.
now. I mean, you could see why. I mean, it's
Yeah,
all
they
makes
kind
sense.
of put him through hell the whole time, you know?
The band was just weird at the
Yeah.
2000s, and now they're
Yeah.
back to where they should be, and it just sucks that Jason's not there.
Mm.
But you know, he moved on and he made his money, and he's all good because he came out with that EP. He came out with some music in like 2013. He was doing the Newstead
He
thing.
played with Voivod, too. Remember?
Yeah, he was doing his own little band thing. He was on tour, and
Yeah.
then he just like, I'm done. Like it was weird. He's just like,
Yeah.
I'm done. But that
Yeah, I
I
know.
was digging it because it had that old metal feel, like kind of
Yeah, no, some of those albums are
Motorhead,
good.
and yeah, I was digging it. But he's a good vocalist too. I mean,
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
his
that's
backing
right.
vocals, like
Yep.
I think he's way better than I love Rob. Like his bass playing's great, but I just don't think he fits with Metallica.
Yeah, vocal. Yeah, not really.
He just doesn't fit with them like Jason did. Jason,
I loved him with like Suicidal when he played Suicidal.
But he's a great bass player. I'm not gonna knock his skill.
Yeah,
I know he's amazing. I think he's just too good for Metallica. I don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Metallica's like the common
right.
man band. You know, I mean they're good. James is still my favorite guitar
James
player.
Is like Metallica. Really,
that guy, like, I have a poster right there.
Why doesn't he do a solo album? I always say that.
Because he's against that. That's why Jason got upset. Because Jason did his Echo Brain thing, and James hated
I think
it.
a James solo album would be awesome. Because then
would
you
be
could
cool.
get like a decent drummer with him.
Everybody says that. Well, you're a drummer,
I mean,
so
Lars is alright, but whatever.
you're a drummer, so you could say that. I mean, now that I'm like more like I've listened to music.
Well, I love Lars playing on like Master of Puppets,
right?
But I don't know what happened. Like, just like...
I think Alice in Chains happened because he always says like
I love Alice.
I know, but like if you listen to Alice in Chains and then you compare like how Lars is drumming now, it's very similar because he just doesn't do anything. And I think he said
he's more into like the groove kind of thing.
Yeah, the groove, because that happened on the Black album. He was just like, I'm all about the groove now, and he could still play stuff, but I go back and listen to some of those old Metallica albums. And, like, you could hear the weak link. I mean, back when I was a kid, I didn't hear it because I wasn't exposed to a lot of music. Like, Lars is Lars for who he, like, how he brought Metallica. It's not his drumming.
But I think he had a style, too, that I kind of like.
Because
he hits... totally diss Lars, because
like, when he hits, fills and stuff, he does it, like, completely different than, like, most guys would, right?
Snare,
yeah. He would do, like,
a lot of
hits.
syncopation.
Yeah. I've noticed that he does hits.
No, that's his style, and I think that speaks a lot for him, actually. Like,
which is cool. And I noticed that in my writing, since I'm so Metallica based, like I do that when I'm programming drums. I program them like Lars because that's just what I've listened to. But
that's awesome.
like sometimes like fills and stuff.
Well, I used to play drum solos albums, so I think that kind of rubbed off on me too. But
it does. It all comes out some way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your influences. It's weird how that happens. You know.
So what composers, like film composers, you like a lot?
Well, of course, Williams. I'm just getting into Goldsmith a lot. His stuff, man. Like there's something about him that talks to me. Like
totally.
Because the way he writes and stuff. I remember I was watching First Blood. I saw First Blood like years ago.
Oh, yeah, it's a great score.
I listened to it. I didn't even know he scored it. But from the opening, that horn thing that happened, I was like, that's got to be Jerry Goldsmith, dude. That's so Goldsmith. Yeah. And it wasn't. Bought it on iTunes because I just watched Chinatown. And
great.
So basically Williams, Goldsmith, and Silvestri. I have a really soft heart for Silvestri because I like film music because of Back to the Future. I have a poster right there. That was my thing. Like everybody's a Star Wars. Mine's Back to the Future.
But that's a great score.
That's his Star Wars. Like that's Silvestri's like pinnacle. And so that's what my first forte into film music was. I was a kid seeing Back to the Future. I was probably 8 or 9 years old when I saw it on VHS. And it just spoke to me, and it still does to this day. So those are probably my top 3. Newer guys.
I think Alien like really moved me when I first saw that.
Yeah.
That's what got me into film music, a lot of it.
It's weird how everybody gets into it, you know, like what grabs them. Especially being metal guys.
Hellraiser too, you know the Hellraiser soundtrack.
I mean, I know the movies, but I'd have to hear it.
The first movie it's a great soundtrack. Even the second one too. It's Christopher Young.
Okay. I'll have to check it out.
He did The Fly too.
Oh, okay. I like Friday the 13th, so I'm one of those dudes. I'm like, I used to watch Friday the 13th
too. Like,
so I love Harry. What is it? How do you pronounce that? Franini or whatever?
Manfredini.
Yeah, that is. I love his. I love his
old
scores.
School.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Well, you can hear like his influence in some of these modern scores. You know, like those string things that he would do.
Oh yeah. He was like the first to really do that, I think.
Yeah. So that's my horror thing. I was a big Friday the 13th guy growing up, which a lot of people, I think it's big now. It's starting to come back, but back when I was watching it, wasn't really big. People weren't really watching it.
I was big when it was big when I was young too, because that's when they were coming out.
Right. Yeah.
So I saw like the 3D one in the movies. I remember.
That's number 3. Yeah.
It's a good one, actually.
Yeah, that's probably one of the better ones. The first one, third one, and the fourth one were like really good for me. And then,
I agree.
Then after that, they kind of just, you know,
Jason X, whatever.
they just Jason X. I remember that came out,
Space.
And I remember seeing that. The coolest part was when they froze the face and then nailed it. That was the coolest part of the whole movie for me. And then they did Freddy vs. Jason. I seen that at the theater, and
That's kind of fun.
that was
fun.
cool. The best part was when they went back to Crystal Lake when he was in that virtual reality thing. I was like,
dream.
oh, dude, they nailed it. After that, other than that, I haven't seen it since it came out, but yeah. So I like horror music too. So
yeah, if we talk about like horror music, like like you said, like the whole Manfredini, like going from that to like the modern horror.
Yeah.
It's very different. Like, the new stuff's just like sound effects more, I feel like.
Yeah.
And less thematic.
Yep. It's just kind of like cool sounds to kind of echo what's going on
sound
screen.
design almost, right?
Yeah, it is. Well, a lot of music is sound
I kind of wish it would return to the more thematic stuff, like
yeah,
you know, like stuff like even like Freddy, like those themes and stuff were cool, you know.
Dream Warriors, man, Dokken.
Yeah, that's right. See, it all comes back to metal.
Oh yeah, dude, I'm telling you, like, I'm a weird for a kid my age. Like, I know all that stuff, and a lot of people my age don't even know like who that is or whatever. I remember getting it's probably lame to say, but Poison. When I was a kid, I liked Unskinny Bop. I had the tape, the single, and then on the
you're on your own with that.
Yeah, I know. And then on the flip side, I liked Something to Believe In. That was like my favorite song from them.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I know I'm on my own there. I know I'm not a metal dude because I like Poison.
No, that's cool.
There's just something about it, you know, like they're catchy, and I love pop music. I like all music, and I think you have to appreciate everything to be a good, well-rounded.
Actually, this is like something I never mentioned to my friends because I was like into Stryper.
Okay, yeah.
And we were all like listening to Slayer, so I had to hide the fact that I like Stryper.
You like Stryper? We all have those bands.
Like, it wasn't satanic, so it wasn't cool. You know?
We all have those bands that we don't want to admit that we like.
Yeah. But that like one of those albums has like great drum tracks and like.
Yeah, they were the religious band, right? Stryper?
Yeah, totally.
They're yellow. They were like really into yellow.
Yellow and black.
Yellow and black, yes. I remember those guys.
So that's my like.
I seen Slaughter, dude. This is crazy.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I saw Slaughter, and they came to my hometown. We used to have this. I'm from Moline, Illinois, so that's where I'm originally from. And we'd have this river festival because I lived on the Mississippi River. And they actually came and played. I think this was 97 or 98. So the hair metal thing was like, that was dead. Oh, and I remember seeing those dudes.
Yeah, no, that was when like grunge killed it.
Yeah, grunge killed it. And it was, so they came and played. And I was like, dude, I was like the only dude digging it because I liked hair metal. You know, I liked that stuff. And everybody's like, what the hell is this? I was like, dude, this is hair metal. This is cool stuff. Like Motley Crue and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah. I like Motley Crue.
Me too. Man. Well, they have some cool stuff. And Tommy Lee, man, that's a rock drummer, dude. That's
great groove.
Oh, yeah. He's got a hell of a groove. He played for Smashing Pumpkins, like Billy Corgan. He teamed up with Billy Corgan for an album. I
didn't know that.
Yeah, I can't think of the name of the album. And you could just hear it, but like, dude, it sounds so good. Because like his groove to Billy Corgan's guitar playing, and it's kind of heavy. And what album was that? It was an album that came out a year or two ago, or a couple of years ago, and Tommy Lee played all the drum parts. It was, I was like, that's the only reason I bought it, because I was like, Tommy Lee's on it? Hell yeah. Because I like his drumming. Because it's simple.
Yeah, no, it is really good.
It's simple, but like you said, the groove, and you know.
It's almost from like a John Bonham.
I was just gonna say that, John Bonham.
You know, like heavy hitting and like grooving. You know.
Yeah, he hits those drums hard. Totally. Yeah. I think I should have been a drummer. Like, I love drumming. I find it really fascinating.
They say every guitarist
wants to be a drummer, and a drummer wants to be a guitar player.
Yeah, totally. It's
true.
So I want to be a guitarist. So
it's very true. I just like, you know, the whole.
If I could do sweep picking, I'd be so happy.
Oh, dude, don't get me started.
You gotta teach me how to do like sweep picking.
Still trying to learn. I could do like the 3 strings, like doing like this way. Yeah. That's easy. It's when you start doing those 6, like the Jason Becker things. Like he's just
he's sick.
Like, okay, I'm done. So I don't sweep pick, but I do the like raking, like, you know, blues guys kind of do that raking thing. Yeah. That's like kind of cool.
Chord. Yeah.
Yeah. The pentatonic stuff. I was into that. Like I said, like in the early 2000s, like that's all I did was try to shred and play really fast. And after a while, I was just like, it got boring, you know? It's like, But I think the only guy that does it well is Yngwie, but early days, like his first 4 albums.
Like tasteful, right?
Yeah, but now his stuff, like, it gets to a point where it's like, you become a parody of your own stuff.
Just like rehash,
Yeah, it's like it becomes a parody, but like you could tell he's pushing the limits on it, but like you can only go so far with it. I've never seen him live, and that's one of my guys I want to see really bad.
Yeah, I never got to see him live either, which is crazy.
I think he put on a good show. I've seen Eric Johnson. That dude.
Oh, cool.
That guy.
Yeah,
I've never heard a guitar player sound the way he sounds.
He's got a unique sound, yeah.
Like the way he sounds on his albums, that's how he sounds live. Like he does that stereo chorus thing.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so beautiful. It's so big. Yeah, and he's just playing out of like a 1960 something Marshall. He's got like 2 Marshalls on. That's it.
Wow.
On the stage, and I think he has a little Fender that he was playing when I saw him. So I've seen some pretty cool dudes. I've seen Kiss.
Yeah.
Back in like '98 when they came out with the makeup again.
Oh yeah.
My dad took me to that. So there you go. My dad's pretty cool. Take me to a Kiss concert. Because he saw them in '74.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So he actually got to see them in '74, I think, when they came out or whatever. It was huge, I guess.
I was into them when I was a little kid. Yeah. Like when I was 5.
Well, they're huge, right? They were kind of like the
like
thing.
in '79 or whatever, '78. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was in the Kiss Army and everything.
Oh, that's cool. To me,
no,
like
I can't really like them. I don't like them as much anymore.
Yeah. They sound comic. Like if there's a comic band, they would be it. But they have some cool songs.
Like an 8-year-old kid, you know?
Yeah. Well, yeah. But like, there's some like they have some cool songs. Though I have a couple of their albums.
Do. They're good writers.
The riffs,
like good pop writer. Really.
Oh yeah, the riffs are cool. You know? There was I can't think of the song, but there was a really cool riff that caught my ear, and I was like, man, I gotta learn that on guitar. It sounds cool. Yeah. Did you like Pantera? Did you like
I never got that into it. I was kind of into some of their stuff. But...
Yeah, I like them. I went through them. Dimebag, he's cool, and
yeah, he was cool. It's sad when he
stole a lot of Steve Vai stuff though. Those harmonics, like
yeah, you could tell.
You could tell. Like I heard, the more I listen to Steve Vai, like the more I can identify dudes that like love that guy. You know, you can hear it. You can just hear it in their phrasing and stuff. But he's got a very unique sound too, I think. Dime did. He had a very unique way to play guitar. His riffs, like the way he wrote riffs, is like he would do things I've never heard guys do. You know, like he took it differently. So, yeah, I just like I'm a metal dude.
They started as a hair metal band.
Yeah, they did. Wasn't it?
Yeah, it was kind of funny.
They were Diamond. His name was
the
Diamond.
Pictures are really funny.
Yeah.
The hair teased.
What was their name? They were called they were still called Pantera, but his name was Diamond Daryl.
Yeah, Diamond. Yeah.
Diamond Daryl.
Oh,
yeah, see, that was like...
They tried to erase that whole, thing.
My buddy had those albums. I remember he actually had those albums when we were... This is like 90s, and he let me listen to them. They were pretty good. But, yeah, they were destined to do what they did.
Did you know Billy Joel had, like, a metal band?
Really? Wow.
My friend had it on tape. It was like... They were dressed like these Viking warriors. It's crazy. Oh. But it was more like Deep Purple or something.
Okay. Yeah.
But you totally can't find it now. He totally erased the memory of it.
He's probably ashamed of it.
Yeah, I bet you can find it on YouTube.
Oh yeah, I bet you somebody has it.
Kind of funny to see,
but there's a lot of dudes that come from metal, like that didn't make it metal, that are in country music. The weirdest place you would think. There's a lot of dudes that could shred in country.
Like Nashville.
Yeah, like I didn't know that, and there's a lot of dudes that shred really well, but they just couldn't do it. Like how that is. Like you find I could do this better than what I did here, but I want to be a metal dude. And that's what I found with Mark Tremonti. Like in Creed, Creed was kind of like a poppy thing, but the dude is a metalhead. Like he's a thrash dude, man. Listen to the Tremonti project, and like his first album, he came out. I remember hearing it. I was like, oh yeah, he's a thrash dude. He liked all the thrash bands, so that's why I liked it.
Yeah. You hear that influence, maybe.
You can hear it in dudes and like composers too. You can hear they're that epic music. I think a lot of those dudes are metal guys.
Yeah, a lot of composers I know that do film music come from a metal background, which is kind of funny.
That's interesting, isn't it? That's very interesting.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
How we come to that.
But it makes sense when you listen to the stuff.
It does. It really does. You can just hear it.
Because like I said, the epic music it's totally just...
It's heavy metal. It's heavy metal with orchestral music. Totally. And choir. That's what it is.
Yeah. It's like epic heavy metal.
It is. And that's why I like it. But it just gets stale, I think. We're at that point where it's like, okay, do something else.
You should try to bring something new into it.
Yeah.
I think that's the key.
Do you like the drumming thing? Like how they do all the epic drums? Or do you think it just kind of... Since you're a drummer, I'm curious to hear your take on it.
I like it, but it's always that 3-3-2 pattern.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even I do that, but people like that.
Right.
But yeah, it gets sort of old, but you can try to bring little things into it. It's like I said, it's all about the details, I think.
Yeah.
Like when you listen to a really good epic track, you're like, okay, like you realize why
It's good.
there's like a little detail in it, or they have like a vocoder or something like interesting.
Oh yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, yeah, just I don't know. I think it can evolve, but it is a little stale.
Yeah.
Because people try to copy
Right.
the
What's
same
already been
stuff,
done.
and it's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Of course.
But,
So what's I know you use Logic. I use Logic. And
I
then
use both Logic and Cubase.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. So that's cool. I was a Logic guy from like 2009, like Logic, the old Logic, and then the reason I went to Cubase is because templates, like in Cubase, they released I think 9 something where you could disable tracks.
I love that.
Yeah, so it's like you could run like
memory and stuff.
Yeah, you could run like 2,000 tracks and then like just disable them all, and
totally.
That's why I went to Cubase. Yeah, if Logic did that, I'd probably go back. I do like Logic.
I go back and forth. It's weird.
Yeah, me too.
Because I'm more comfortable in Logic still.
Yeah.
I actually started on Pro Tools. But,
okay. Wow. Yeah. Me too. Mine was Cakewalk. Like I said, back in like 2002 was Cakewalk. And we used early version of Pro. This is back when.
Yeah, me too. Like Sound Designer or whatever.
Yeah, whoever owned Pro Tools, and like you had to have everything. Was it DigiDesign? I think.
Yeah, it was before Avid bought it.
Yeah, it was DigiDesign. That's when I used it.
Yeah.
And I remember the epiphany there. I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. I have a recording studio right here. I wanted to buy one, and I priced it out at the time. I'm like, yeah. I'm a college kid. I'm not affording that rig.
I know, it's tough.
But
I like Logic. It depends what I'm doing. I think, like you said, Cubase has some cool features, especially like the articulation stuff.
Yep.
You know, you can do a track of like I forget what they call it, but
expression
mapping.
Yep.
Yeah,
expression maps.
Like, that's really pretty cool.
Yeah, I started implementing that into my workflow,
especially with the Spitfire stuff. Do you have the Spitfire?
Yeah, you can use UACC. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess you can.
That's really helpful.
Control MIDI to do all the switching, and you could get really complicated with it, which I haven't really dove into, but I've heard that you could really get technical with it. So
I like to do layering though, so sometimes I don't do the key switching thing.
Okay.
Because I'll layer a lot of libraries. And
what's your go-to libraries? Like what's your favorite?
For strings?
Yeah, or anything. Just like what's your go-to?
It's a lot. There's so many that it's like
after a while,
it really depends on the situation, but I like layering like a tight string library with a bigger room sounding one. So often I'll take like CSS, which is
Cinematic Studio
Strings, and I'll layer that with like a Spitfire library.
Okay. Yeah, they seem to work really well.
They do, yeah, because it gives you like the big room, and then because the Spitfire stuff sometimes is too big.
Yeah.
Although I like the chamber strings are nice, but
I've heard good things about those chamber strings. They're on my list to buy, but
and there's a lot of articulation, so I recommend it.
Okay.
But for Woodwinds, I mean, I use a Spitfire for that because those Woodwinds should have a setback sound anyway.
Yeah.
Because of where they're placed in the orchestra.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to think of like an orchestra and like.
Right.
Although it depends on the score. Like if you have like an action sequence, you want things to be tighter.
Yeah, up front.
Yeah, so it really depends. But yeah, I think layering is the key.
Okay.
With things like
that. I try. After a while, it just gets so messy. It's like you got so many damn tracks.
You don't want to layer all these huge ensembles either, you know? Yeah, because then that's like ridiculous.
Yeah, I have
you have a string section of like 200 players or whatever.
Exactly. Well, at the point, see, like that's my point. Like
it's like overkill. Yeah.
You come from like the background of like you want realism. I want it to sound like a real orchestra. Yeah. I think we've gone past that. Like guys don't even like at this point. Like the music is so
That's the thing. They don't even care.
Yeah, and I don't think I talked about this when I went to the John Williams concert. I had an epiphany. I sat there listening to the orchestra play. And I was like, dude, strings, they don't play that loud. Because you got these tracks that are, and like, you can hear the staccato strings over horns. And it's like, that would never work. Never work in a real orchestra.
Exactly. You'll never hear the strings over the horns.
And
that's a good point.
They have like 4 horns or 6 horns or whatever. And they're just blaring. And I never knew a glockenspiel is loud.
It cuts.
Holy crap, that thing. And John Williams loves to use it. Like it's
great. It can cut over any texture.
It's so loud. I never knew that. I never knew that.
It's weird.
So that's one of my like things for any guy or anybody that's getting into this. Go to a real orchestra and listen.
Totally, man.
It will blow your mind how like samples give you a false sense of sounds, you know?
Well, that's the thing. I think I come from like a classical background.
Yeah.
Like I'm really like classical composer, so the film thing sort of came later.
Yeah.
So I have that conception, like I know what a real orchestra sounds like. But I think it's also like film stuff is something different.
Yep.
So
now,
it's like
it is now.
You want it to be larger than life. You know?
It's different now, but back, you know, like when...
Yeah, even those like Friday the 13th scores, like the ensemble, it sounds small, right?
It is.
But that's sort of the beauty of it.
Mm-hmm. Well, they probably didn't have much money for music, and they probably just...
Oh, that's true. They probably,
they probably just re-recorded it.
Orchestra of like 30 people.
Probably chamber. It's probably a chamber orchestra.
It is. But that's what sounds cool about it. It's like intimate almost.
Yeah. And it works for the film because it's a horror film and you get that loneliness feeling from the music.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
I love that score, man.
Me too.
Those, it's so metal too. Like there's some things in there that's like, I'm like, oh, it's so cool. The rhythms and the pulse. I think that's why I loved it.
Bernard Herrmann kind of approach.
Yeah, very Bernard Herrmann. I didn't know I didn't know him, and then I went back and listened to some of his stuff. I was like, dude, that's where he got that from. That's where Friday the 13th's from.
Totally.
Everybody steals, man.
Yeah, even like the Reanimator score is very Psycho. Like,
wow. Yeah, Psycho.
Remember that movie?
I do. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but
you can hear like the Psycho influence, you know.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
It's good.
He had a big impression, I think, on composer.
Bernard Herrmann did. You can hear him everywhere. And then, like, if you go and listen to, I can't think of his name. You could tell who influenced Korngold. Like, you listen to, I have one of his pirate movies, and I was listening to the theme, and I was just sitting there, and I was like, wow. If I didn't tell anybody this was Korngold, you would think it was Williams. Like, because they were doing the Woodwind runs.
That was his influence.
Yeah, you can hear it, like, so well. Like, I was like, oh my God, that's the John Williams score.
Korngold was a great orchestrator too.
Yeah.
Like, that was like, he comes from like the Mahler age, you know what I mean?
Classical. Like, all those guys were classical composers.
Like, they studied in like Germany and stuff. And like,
well, that's all film music, the old film music. They were all classical composers that fell into film scoring, basically.
Yeah,
Same with
imagine
Williams.
if you heard that score with like today's production, it would be insane.
Oh wow.
You know what I mean? Like Korngold's score. And
can you imagine like Beethoven doing an epic score? Because he's a metal dude. Beethoven was a metal guy.
Yeah, you would love that. Yeah.
Oh man, that guy's metal. I mean, if you don't, if he was in today or he lived during the '80s, he'd be in a metal band. He'd be in one Symphony X or something.
Hardcore guy.
He'd be in one of those bands.
The angry dude.
Yeah, because like his stuff is just, it's got some meat to it, and I love it.
It does. Yeah, absolutely.
I like Mahler too. Mahler.
Yeah, me too.
And Copeland. I got into Copeland. I really like Aaron Copeland. Oh yeah, his textures and just.
Or Stravinsky.
Yeah, I haven't listened to a lot of his stuff, but I've heard a lot. Like people tell me to listen to it. Yeah. So
I love Schubert too. I'm a big Schubert fan.
Yeah, I have some of his stuff. Yeah, I was listening to him.
It's amazing what he did in such a short amount of time.
Yeah.
He's like 31 when he died or something.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
He wrote like over 500 songs, which is insane for like voice and piano.
That's crazy. Well, they didn't have all the distractions like we do today. Netflix.
Yeah, that's probably true. No internet.
You know,
see what you can do without the internet.
Yeah, right. You could probably write more, right?
Oh man, it's crazy though what he did and the level of quality. Like, it's just mind blowing.
Well, same like Mozart. I mean, that guy.
Mozart, yeah.
But like the thing is, like, here's another thing that like I found out later in life is we have this notion, or when you're younger or just whatever, that like, you know, Beethoven, they just sat down and the piece is just like, oh my God, there he goes. There's Fifth Symphony. He just sat down and wrote it. It's like, dude, that's not how music works. You know, it's like.
No, they worked hard on that.
They
especially
did.
Beethoven.
And they sketched. And I was going to talk about earlier is like, I've been trying to do a sketch track before I write the full thing. I'll just put a piano sketch track in my thing. So I kind of have the layout, you know, and even if I don't use it, that's a hard thing for me to do because I'm one of those discovery composers. I like to hear something, be inspired, and then see where I go with it. I guess that comes from my guitar playing or something, you know, because you're just noodling on the guitar and then, oh my God, something happens. So I'm trying to get away from that and be more structured. Now, it seems to work a little bit better. It keeps me focused, you know?
That's what I do. I do a piano track first. It depends, but yeah, because sometimes you can lose. There's another reason why I do that is because you get lost in like trying to find the right string sound.
Yes.
Whereas if you do the piano track, you're just into like the music.
Right.
Like the harmony and the melody.
Yeah.
And then you can then you can go wherever you want with it. But
Right. Do you start with harmony first or melody? Or
it depends.
Just
like,
depends.
Yeah, sometimes it will be a harmony or a melody will come into my head. Like it could be either or, you know, or
Cool.
a rhythm even.
Yeah. Well, being a drummer, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's some sort of rhythmic. Well, that'll usually be with like a chord or something.
Right.
But,
Do you use like voice memos on your phone? I notice a lot of guys doing that. I'm trying to implement that.
Yeah, I do that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With
I used to do that with guitar
like,
parts. Yeah.
Sometimes I come up with stuff on guitar actually too, which is funny.
I did that one time. I actually came up with a melody on my guitar, and then I played it on the piano, and I was like, wow. And it sounds different. Like, because you wouldn't write that way on the piano, you know, because like the jumps are a little bit different because of the strings. And it was cool. I was like, wow, I need to do this more.
But that's kind of cool, maybe. Maybe that's could be like your sound, you know? Right?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I'm still trying to discover that because I like the epic stuff a little bit, but I do love the classical orchestra, you know, thing, like the Williams thing. And I love because I grew up with that. What kind
of score would you want to do? Like,
yeah, but kind of blend those two. Like that's what I would love to do. And or
do you want to do like movies more, or what's your goal?
Yeah, I mean, I think how I got into film scoring for me was when I found out that guys scored films with guitar. So Neil Young did a score to Dead Man.
I love that score.
Yeah. And it was awesome. Just kind of him doing this thing. And I was like, that's cool. And there's a couple other guys that did, you know, film scoring with their guitar. And that's how I kind of got into it. I kind of like, well, maybe this is something I could do. You know, and...
You know the Crash score? The original?
Yeah.
It's all guitar.
Oh, wow. I need to revisit
that. That's the one, not the drug movie, but the one with
with Sandra Bullock. Yeah.
Yeah, check it out because it's what's his name who did like Lord of the Rings.
Howard Shore,
but it's all electric guitars. Oh, it's like 6 electric guitars.
So is he a guitar player? Howard Shore?
I don't think he is, but maybe a little bit. But it's like, but it works so well in the movie because it's super like cold and dark.
Okay.
You should revisit it. I love that.
Yeah, I've seen the movie when it came out, but it's like one of those things like you just like you kind of forget about these things. But yeah, I'll definitely check that out. I love guitar scores, and like I said, Brian.
You have to be careful with it too because sometimes it.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it, but it gives it like makes it sound dated or something.
Right. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, if you use like synths.
Because like 80s, they used like a lot of guitar scores in the 80s.
Well, that was because of the way the production. But I know what you mean. Yeah, that sound, that dated 80s sound. Yeah.
Yeah, like
I know what you mean. Well,
if you do like a Steve Vai or something.
What's his name from Queen? I can't think of his
Brian
name.
May. Yeah.
Yeah, he scored Mad Max. He scored one of the Mad Max. Yeah, but he did it orchestrally though. I didn't know that.
The original Mad Max?
I think so. Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, he did it. Yeah, I was like, what? Because he's classically trained too. I think.
Didn't they do the Highlander soundtrack too?
He might have, but I just know Mad Max was like one that. That kind of just like blew, like kind of like what? He did that. I think he did some scores back then in the 70s. I think he did a lot.
Yeah, I didn't realize he was like classical.
Yeah, I think he is. It makes if you listen to his guitar parts.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like it's like, dude, this guy's making an orchestra with guitar. It's like, cause all the harmonies and.
Yeah.
Queen was one that I kind of got in. I'm not a huge fan, I'm not a big fan of Queen, but I do appreciate what they do. I mean, of course, Bohemian Rhapsody. That's like the most. That's like the most epic track you could ever write. Bohemian Rhapsody, and it makes sense. Every part makes sense, but it's just a hodgepodge of different styles and everything, man.
Crazy.
And that riff,
like theater and classical, and
everything, and that riff, man, that he plays, it din. I love that riff.
Yeah, pretty awesome.
Those dudes know how to write riffs back then in the 70s.
I know.
They could write riffs.
A lot of great bands then. Because I like a lot of the progressive rock stuff too, like Gentle Giant and King Crimson.
Yeah. I like a little bit of it.
That's a big influence on
Pink Floyd, I guess, would be my progressive, I guess. Or Dream Theater. I like Dream Theater.
Yeah. But some of the 70s stuff was cool because those guys incorporated like Renaissance and medieval.
Because they knew music. They knew how to play. They know how to play.
Yeah, they were from that background.
Yeah, I listen to 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s music. That's pretty much my wheelhouse. I try to, get out of that and listen to newer music, but like I said, there's just...
I know, it doesn't seem like to be a lot.
There's something missing, There's just something like the life or something. There's just missing.
You have to weed through a lot. That's the problem.
There's some good music out there. There's some good... Cage the Elephant. Have you heard of them? Like they're a
No,
newer band,
check it out.
kind of like a
Yeah,
alternative kind of thing, and they have some.
cool.
They remind me of like a '70s band. Like they have that kind
Nice.
of like the Who kind of thing, but
Oh, cool.
modern. So yeah, Caged Elephant. I think you'd like them.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. They're very raw sounding. Like that. Like
Yeah.
70s thing, and that's I like it, and some other.
You know what it is? We're inundated by so much commercial stuff that you really have to weed through.
Yeah, definitely.
A lot.
But there's good bands out there. There's amazing music out there. You just gotta find it. Yeah, you gotta find it. And like Pandora, that's how I find a lot of good stuff. Or
Yeah.
YouTube, I guess, and or people recommending, just telling me about something that, oh yeah, cool, I'll check it out. But yeah, I'll definitely check out that Crash score. That sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Is it
I think as a
ambient? Is it like
guitarist,
kind of
you
like an
really
ambient thing? Like kind of like using it as an effect, or I guess.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's like really dark harmonies too, like sharp 11s, like really like cool. Yeah, but it's very like melodic too.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool.
Yeah.
He's so versatile too as a composer. Like
Howard Shore. Yeah, I love Lord of the Rings.
Like going from like Mrs. Doubtfire to like Lord of the Rings to like Silence of the Lambs. I think he did, right?
I think he did.
That's an amazing. That's in like 3 years or whatever. Like.
Oh yeah. I mean,
like
I love.
And then Crash, like totally. He did all the Cronenberg, like the early.
Oh yeah.
That experimental Cronenberg stuff.
Right. Yeah.
So he's like so versatile. I really.
That's good. I love guys like that.
Yeah, I mean, he can do anything,
You find a lot of composers like that. They're very diverse.
You kind of have to be that way with film music, I think. Well, if you want a long career, you got to be able to do like a romantic comedy, then horror,
If you're John Williams, you can do whatever you do.
That's true. Yeah,
he's the exception. He's changed though. I mean, he's changed over the years.
Yeah, we did that cool big band score for.
Catch Me If You Can. I love that, man. That was
awesome.
Great.
Well,
but he's a jazz dude,
too, right?
He's a jazz guy. He's
a jazz guy, yeah.
He probably knocked that out in a week. Like that's what you're speaking my language.
It was cool to hear, though.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I love him. Probably my favorite ones of his is probably.
He never uses synths, though, right? Does he ever use synths?
I think he did in the '80s. Like he hit him.
Actually, some Harry Potter, but they get some other guy, I think, to do the synth parts.
He wrote some in the '80s, I think. You just gotta go and dig through it. All those dudes did, man. They were all doing it in the 80s because it was like the cool thing to do. And it's weird when you hear it. Like Goldsmith did it. I think Total Recall. You hear it all over the place. That's a good score too.
I love that. I have that score. I have that actual
score. The book?
Score.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Omni Publishing, I got that. Yeah. Back to the Future, that one, and Batman. Batman was a huge, as a kid, like I really loved that score. And like that theme, man, the theme of Batman, I think it still holds up to this day.
Was that
Danny Elfman.
Yeah, that's one of his best scores, I think.
Yeah, but I mean, like that theme, dude. I think it still resonates today. You could put that theme up on the Batman and those movies today, and it would hold up. I think.
It's good.
I just don't. I just can't. I wasn't on board with the whole Superman. I was kind of disappointed with the newer Superman movie.
I didn't.
Man of Steel.
Because I like the old one.
Yeah, I come from the.
Was that John Williams? The old one?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was a good score.
But just like the way they did Superman, it was just like that's not Superman. But Batman made sense. Like I love the Batman because Batman's dark. He can.
Right.
That's what he does. It makes sense. But Superman, you're making Superman dark.
Yeah, that didn't make sense.
It's like okay, but I'm over the comic book movies.
Yeah, no, I know.
I've lost track.
Well, I grew up on a lot of the comics, so I used to.
Well, because
because if they interpret it a different way, it's like, oh, that's.
And back then, though, you had to be a geek to like comic books because nobody,
Crazy, that's so popular now.
Yeah, it's like now you're going to see comic book movies. When I was a kid, that
wasn't cool at all.
Yeah, the early '90s, man, it was like, what?
Yeah, I know.
Like, I wasn't a huge comic book guy, but like I went to comic stores and read. I had a buddy that he still is a big comic book guy, and that's how I would know about some of the stuff. And then video games, like if you're a video game player, you were like weird, Nowadays, like everybody plays video games.
No,
it's crazy.
Yeah, and also like metal. Metal is like popular now. Yeah, it's weird. Like back when we were, wasn't that popular. Like when I was a kid,
Until the hair metal, but that's not really metal. But yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, like now, I feel like metal's bigger than ever.
It is.
It's weird for me. Yeah, I think it's awesome, but
but there's a lot of genres in metal now, which is crazy. I get confused because it's like there's so many different.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
It's like what? Okay.
It's like 50 different types of metal. Yeah.
It's called. I can't think what it's called, but The Sword. Have you ever heard of The Sword?
Oh yeah, like stoner metal.
Yeah,
Like
I love that
doom
stuff.
metal.
That stuff's cool
Yeah,
too. The Sword, and then there's a couple other bands that I got turned on to a few years ago, but
yeah, I
the
like
Sword,
that stuff too.
it's kind of like Black Sabbath, kind of.
Yeah, like I do it. Like the album I just came out with is kind of like that.
Okay.
Sky Shadow Obelisk.
Yeah. All right, I'll check
But
that
I
out.
incorporate some more like weird stuff too. But it's some of it's like doomy kind of.
Oh, the doom metal. Yeah.
Yeah,
Caius,
I like that.
remember Caius from like the 90s?
Oh,
They
I
were
love
cool.
Caius. Yeah.
That when I heard that, I
And
was
then
like,
you did like Queens of the Stone Age.
yep, Queens of the Stone Age, yep. Which is they're cool. I like them too. I heard
Yeah.
somewhere, go back to Metallica, like if you take Load and you like detune it down, it sounds like Caius.
Well,
It's
they
like-
were really into Caius. I think
they were at
especially
that time.
Hetfield.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm one of the weird people that like Load. I thought it. If you
No,
go,
I think it's a
now
good
in
album.
retrospect, if you go listen, it's like I think it's one of the if you cut all the crap songs of like Load and Reload and put together one album with all
Yeah,
the
that's
good
true.
stuff,
There's a
it
lot
would have
of
been an
filler on
amazing
there.
album.
Yeah.
But I mean, compared to like Saint Anger, like it was like what? I like the few of
Yeah.
the songs, but
Yeah, it's not good. Even their last album was sort of.
yeah, hit or miss. I like the
Yeah, it's like half as good.
yeah,
half as
like the
not
lead
good.
track, Hardwired, whatever. Like I was like, okay, dude, you're bringing it. That's it. And
Yeah,
then
yeah, totally. When I heard that, I'm like, oh, cool. This is
okay,
gonna
they're
be
back.
good.
They're gonna start playing that again. And then there's a couple of good songs. Death
Yeah,
Magnetic was okay. I thought the riffs were
Yeah.
cool. I mean, the riffs are always great. James always writes great riffs.
Oh, he does.
But that guy, man, what an
I
inspiration.
love his voice. Still sounds great too. I think.
Yeah, it does. Actually, it really does. I think it's better. Like it's gotten
It is.
better.
I think. Yeah, I know.
And look, he does like
He needs to start another band.
another band. Everybody says that, man.
I don't know.
They hate
To me,
Kurt.
James is like.
He's the
I mean,
guy.
I love Metallica, but he is like Metallica.
He is, yeah. Him
He
and
is the
Cliff were
driving force, yeah.
Metallica.
Yeah, exactly.
That's Kurt too, though. I mean, I don't think Kurt gets a lot of credit.
No.
He writes a lot of the riffs, dude. Like the Creep and Death
Does he
riff.
write a lot of the riffs?
Yeah, he does. Like that, the Creep and Death with a da 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 da. That's Kurt Hammett. Enter Sandman's Kurt Hammett. A
I
lot
thought
of those
also
riffs.
Mustaine wrote a lot of those little riffs.
Yeah.
Too, didn't he?
Are you in that camp? Like Metallica was better when Mustaine was in the band.
Well, you know what's funny? If you hear the No Life to Leather, you know
yeah, I've heard it.
it's like Hammett copies his solos like note for note,
Some of them.
which
Yeah,
is crazy.
but like, listen to Mustaine play those solos and then listen to Hammett play those
Yeah,
solos.
yeah.
It's just like it's like I get why I get it because Hammett's
but
a
it's
better
weird that
player.
they made him copy him note for
Yeah.
note. But they probably were
I
like,
think there's one though. He
James
actually
probably like you need to play him note.
yeah. I think there was one solos that he actually did his own.
Yeah.
He wrote it, but I know what you mean. But
But I
like,
like you can hear like when I listen to the Four Horsemen now, I'm like, oh, that's totally a Mustaine song.
oh yeah, definitely. Kill
You
'Em
know,
All
'cause
is
if,
Mustaine.
if you listen to like Megadeth, you're like,
Yep.
that's totally his style, you know.
Oh yeah, those riffs, the way he played those riffs.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
it would have been interesting to see if they had gone on with Mustaine, like
Yeah.
what it would have turned into.
it would be
Like
interesting.
in a parallel universe, you know?
Yeah, I think they would have killed each other, but yeah.
Yeah, that was the problem. I think was the ego thing, sort of.
Yeah, they just
But
'cause-
I like Megadeth too, so
Oh,
it's
I
like
love
I'm kind of
Megadeth.
glad that they split off. In a
yeah,
way.
because Dave's doing his thing and he does it well.
yeah, it's cool.
The whole like Megadeth, Metallica, the rival that there is, on the internet.
It's
It's like,
silly.
dude, it's like Megadeth put out albums like Load. I mean, Super Collider. They did
Yeah,
a
they
bunch-
had some bad stuff.
They've had some bad stuff, but they never get flack for it because it's just
No, I know.
I hate that. But I like Metallica. I like Load. I like pretty much everything up until about Load and Reload.
Yeah.
I think is
Yeah,
solid.
the Black Album I thought was really good. It's different, but for the newer Metallica, I thought
Yeah.
it was like the pinnacle, sort of.
I mean, they put metal in the mainstream. I mean, without
Yeah.
that album,
Yeah.
metal
know.
probably wouldn't be where it's at today because they
No, I
turned
agree.
a lot of people onto metal.
And it's good production on that album, too.
Oh God, it sounds amazing. Bob
It's a
Rock.
great sounding album, yeah.
And if you listen to all the Bob Rock produced albums compared to the other ones, and then you listen to the newer albums, like, yeah, dude, you guys gotta get Bob Rock back just to produce it or
I
mix it.
agree.
They just
Or
sound so
Fleming
much better.
Rasmussen.
Yeah, they sound so much better. The drums are thick. The guitars are just like, they're so meaty, and you're just like, whenever they did Death Magnetic, horrible.
Yeah, it was like going for that like, dirty tone, but it just wasn't good.
It was horrible because James's guitars, man, he likes that trebly thing I've noticed lately. Like the Kill 'Em. If you listen to
Yeah,
Kill 'Em
yeah.
All, it's very trebly, and
Oh yeah, yeah,
I didn't like that. I like when he uses his messes, man. That dark.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think he's using like Diesel now,
Yeah,
right?
he's using Diesel, I think, and
Those
probably,
are good. Those are really awesome, actually.
and I think he's using still Mesas, but like in like the 80s and 90s, that was all Mesa Boogies. I actually used to
Wasn't
have
it Marshall though? Like in the
that was Kill 'Em All. Yeah, he had a modded Marshall.
wasn't
And
Ride the Lightning Marshall?
I think
or
Red
no?
Lightning too, but then it
Yeah,
got
it's got that
stolen.
warm tone. Kind
It got stolen. Yeah, he had a Marshall
Oh, wow.
that he
Yeah.
loved, and then he got a. And I think Kirk is the one that turned him on to the Boogies and the EMG pickups.
You could tell when they
When
went
they
to
changed.
like
I think it was
Yeah.
Master Puppets. They started
Master Puppets. Yeah,
when they started
totally
putting
like
it in
that.
there a little bit. Yeah, and then of course
The
Injustice
80s
for
sound.
All. That's a horribly mixed album, but you listen to that album.
Oh. But it
and
has a sound. Though.
Yeah, it does. But you
Yeah.
listen to that album and then listen to the metal of now and that came after. They stole from that album, like the big
totally.
drum, the big double bass drums and
Scoop mid and all that.
yep, the scoops and all that stuff. You hear the influence everywhere. I like
But
Injustice.
then they went to the Injustice for All. It was such a weird mix.
It was. That was
the
like their
drum
hurrah.
sound, that paper snare sound that
Oh,
they
yeah,
spent
yeah,
like
yeah.
months on. I'm like, wait, it took months to get this? Like,
Well, it was James and Lars mixed that whole album.
yeah, it sounds like it.
You could tell because like the guitars are really loud, and then the drums.
Yeah,
are
like just turn us up.
Yeah. Who cares about the bass player? He doesn't
Oh
do
my
anything.
God. Yeah, I know, weird.
That's,
But now I kind of listen to it, I'm like, wow, it's such a unique sounding album.
well, like some bands, like I said,
Like-
some bands took that sound
Yeah.
and are using it, like especially metal now, because like the drum basses are that click,
Yeah.
which you never heard
Oh
before.
yeah, the click,
Yeah.
the samples. Yeah.
That comes from Justice, I think. They've always been innovative. I mean, I give them credit
Yeah.
because they've always pushed the envelope and pushed metal further. Yeah, they might not be the most technical band,
No.
but what they've done for metal, you can't deny it,
Oh, those albums are masterpieces in my view. Like
First
Ride
three.
the Light,
Yeah,
I mean.
they're
the first three. Yeah.
Justice a little bit. I mean, that's more progressive metal, I think.
No, it's good though. It is
Yeah.
a good album.
Um,
Strong.
But yeah, there's something different
I mean,
about
listen
it.
to like One is a great song.
Oh
so.
yeah. I like on that last song on the album, man.
Harvester of Sorrow.
Yeah,
all
I
that.
love Harvester of Sorrow, One, Blackened. I love that.
Yeah,
that riff's
Blackened's
cool.
great.
Dun, 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 dun. Ugh, I can't even play it, dude. It's just
Yeah, I
so,
used to play drums to that album. I remember.
like that's the thing about James's guitar riffs. They're freaking hard, man. Because he's
I know it's all downstroke.
yeah,
right?
and he downstrokes
his thing?
everything. And it's like, how the hell do you do that? Like that's
I know, his
insane.
arm- Yeah.
He's a drummer, dude. He's
Yeah, he
better
seems
drummer
like-
than Lars, dude.
I'm
Like
sure. Yeah.
he's
Probably
a drummer.
is, yeah.
He was a drummer before he was a guitar player, and you can tell.
Right. Yeah.
You can
totally.
tell because his riffs are very drum bass. Same
Oh,
with
yeah.
Dave Grohl.
Great riffs.
Dave Grohl, he's a drummer
Oh, yeah.
and he
Yeah,
plays
well, yeah.
guitar like drums.
Totally.
So that's another good. I love Foo Fighters. That's another cool band.
Well, he did that cool metal album too. Remember
Yeah,
the?
yeah. He's a
where he
metal
had, like,
dude.
King Diamond on it and stuff.
He's a metal dude.
Yeah.
You
Totally.
can hear all these metal guys, man. When it comes out, you're like, oh, dude, why don't you do more of that? But
Yeah, I know. I know.
you get it. Not everybody can do metal.
Where the money is, I guess, too.
Well, man, I don't know if you have anything else to talk about. If you got to get going, I mean, we've been
Oh
chatting
yeah,
for a while.
yeah. No, it's fun talking to you.
Oh
man.
yeah, dude, appreciate it. And like I said, I had to get you on. I knew you were a metal dude. I was like, I could just see it. I was like, I could tell. I was like, I gotta
Yeah.
talk to him, man. And it's
Well,
just,
good luck with everything, man.
Yeah, you too.
Keep in touch for sure.
dude, I'd love to touch base again sometime, man. We could touch base and keep in contact. I have a Discord channel, like all the composers that I have on
cool.
here, and I have some other dudes. I'll invite you to it if you want. Do you use Discord? Do you know what it is?
No, but yeah.
It's like a chat room basically.
Cool.
And you can
That'd
just
be
hang
cool.
out in it and talk and so basically think of like old school chat room, but it's called Discord. Gamers use it, but
Oh, cool. Kind
I
of like
make-
Twitch, sort of.
yeah, it's just kind of like like you have channels you can make. So like I have different channels, like sample library. If you want to talk about sample libraries, you can go into that channel. It's pretty
cool.
easy. You could download it or you could use a web interface. It's all up to you. But I'll send it to you if you want, and if you want to join, that's cool.
Oh, I wanted to ask you what percussion libraries do you use? Speaking of percussion.
Well, I have what do I have? I have the Hans Zimmer percussion from Spitfire.
Yeah, I use that too. I love
I
that.
use that one. I'm a Cinesamples dude. I love Cinesamples stuff.
Oh yeah, no, it's good.
Love their brass. I use their orchestral stuff.
I use Cinebrass still. I love that.
It's great sounding. And then I have some East-West stuff.
Oh, cool.
But for like epic stuff, that's what I use. And then I think well, Cinesamples has their percussion. They have an Epic thing in there, but I'm really bad at percussion, like programming it, because like I always want to make it complicated.
Well, you get better at it. You just gotta kind of keep doing it.
Well, it comes back to the like you said, like I'm a hands-on tactile person. Like, give me the instrument and I'll play it. That's the mindset I come from. And sitting down on a keyboard, just I can't. I don't know. It's just weird for me. Like,
you have pads, you can use the pads.
Yeah, I want to get some. I have the pads on the keyboard. I just never use them.
Or even like a drum pad if you have.
I've thought about getting one. Or
I might get one of those too. I don't know why I don't have that.
It's weird, right? It's like you would think like, oh yeah, it makes sense, but
I used to have one of those octapads.
I had one and it broke.
I wish I had it. Yeah.
Yeah, mine broke. So, but I was like, yeah, because I'm one of those people. I have to play it. You know, like that's why I asked you, do you play everything in? Because some dudes they just sit there and they click it in the MIDI roll, and it's like,
do that either.
How the hell do you do that?
But yeah, I feel like I'm trashing my keyboard because I'm always banging like percussion into it.
That's
so
crazy.
I should get that thing where.
Do you have a MIDI drum set, or do you have a real drum set, or just? Or no?
I have a real drum set, but I should actually get like one of the electronic ones.
I was curious if you would ever if there's difference.
That would be cool because I'm in an apartment, so I can't really play the drums here. So
I've thought about getting one because I want to go back to writing rock music again. You know, just for fun and. Because I tried the whole MIDI drum programming thing, and it's just like, give me a drum set and I'll play it real quick. I mean, I'm not a great drummer. I just
but you can.
I could probably get it in there and fake it in there real quick, and then tweak the MIDI notes.
I think it makes a difference too if you play it in as opposed to click it in.
It does. Like I said, it's that essence, that feeling. There's that you can tell if someone played it in compared to someone. What would you say? Programming it in. Like same with guitar. Like I can smell fake guitar. Like that, when someone just used like a sample library and programmed it.
Those are the worst to sample. I don't know why people can't sample a guitar properly.
The Peel
I think it's
guitar.
like just too many subtleties.
It is. The guitar is like one of the most
like hammer on and stuff and sliding.
It's one of the most like versatile. So many nuances to a guitar, like a violin and all that. Like string instruments are probably the worst to sample. But the Peel guitar from Spitfire, it used to be their labs. They've changed the labs now.
I have that.
That thing, dude, I've used that just playing around. I was like,
I know. That's
crazy. The closest.
And he recorded it really simply,
It's the best sounding thing I've ever heard, and it was free. And
it's crazy. Yeah, I have that.
Yeah, that's probably the best sampled one I've heard. I mean, it's very limiting of what you could do, but what sample library isn't limiting?
Yeah. But I mean, distorted is almost impossible to do, right?
Yeah, and then I hate like.
It always sounds like machine gun effect or whatever.
Like, or the virtual, like there's a big thing, or it has been a big thing of the digital guitar amps. I can hear fake. I can hear fake right away.
I use the Bias though. That one's pretty good actually.
I've used Guitar Rig, which some of them sound good, but like
you should check out the Bias one.
Okay.
I put the name.
But I don't know about you. Since you play guitar, can you smell it really quickly?
Yeah, it's a difference. But
sound. Is it? There's just something missing. It's like
you lose that air or something.
Yeah, it's the air. If you play guitar, you've played in front of a real amp.
What kind of amp do you use? What do you have?
Well, right now, I just got a Vox AC30.
Okay.
Because it's very versatile, and I used to have
pedals.
Yeah, I got Strymon stuff. I got the Big Sky.
Oh, nice! Like
the three Strymons. Yeah, the what is it?
I love that thing.
The Timeline, the Mobius, and the Big Sky. I got the the trifecta.
Yeah.
So
what do you use for distortion? Do you have any distortion?
I'm using the DS1.
That's like
the popular
classic.
DS1 that everybody uses, basically.
The Boss, right?
Yeah. Yep. I have that one.
Yellow one.
Orange, it's like orange. I mean,
I had the yellow one. I think that's
the yellow
Distortion.
one. That's Distortion, I think.
Just Distortion. Yeah.
I think that's from MXR, right? The yellow one? I think so.
Oh,
it might be.
No, there was a Boss one, the yellow one. I think it was called Super Distortion.
Super Distortion. I think that's it. Yeah.
It's just like an overdrive.
Yeah. It's overdrive.
Or maybe it's Super Overdrive.
It's overdrive. Yeah. It's overdrive, I think.
I don't have it here. But,
I just have the DS1, and then I have very basic. And then I have an MXR compressor pedal, the red one.
Oh, classic.
Because I used to do ambient stuff. On my channel, if you go back to the earlier videos, it's all ambient guitars. It was basically an exercise for me. I was
with the Stripe and stuff.
Yeah, I was like, let's just put a camera up. I have no idea what I'm gonna do, and I would pick chord progressions. Well, let me see if I can, and I'd loop it. I was getting into looping, and I was like, let's see what I can come up with. and like that's to put limitations and stuff like that. So I was doing guitar ambient videos for a while.
That's well.
That stuff's hard, man. To make ambient music interesting is
I think
very tough.
That could be good though for your film approach, you know,
Yeah.
like doing the Strymon stuff and
Oh, yeah.
Strymon
Strymon,
texture,
those pedals, dude.
like loops and stuff.
Yep. Yeah. You can loop stuff and make some pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I need to utilize guitar more. I need to
Yeah,
make my
should.
own sounds and stuff.
Because that's you. That's
Yeah,
like your voice.
right.
I think.
I need to, but we always say these things and then.
Yeah, but I think even mixing it with other stuff,
Right.
like as a texture.
Yep.
is the way
Yeah,
to
it's a
go.
goal of mine, and like you said, to find your sound, find what you do good, and
Yeah.
But no, man. Again, Pete, I really appreciate it, man. Taking
Oh
time
yeah,
out today,
totally,
and
man. It was fun.
keep in contact, and maybe down the road, like if you're doing a project or come
Yeah,
back
yeah.
on, dude, and we'll talk some more.
I'd love to. Yeah.
We just
Awesome.
scratched the surface, so I know
Yeah. Well, yeah.
we could
No,
talk more stuff, and we.
It's great talking metal too.
Yeah, dude. I'll talk metal any day because you don't find
Yeah,
too many
yeah.
metalheads that like really embrace metal. I don't look like a metal dude, but I'm a metal dude. My ears ring
It's in the
because
heart. It's in
because
your
of the-
heart,
Yeah, I have tinnitus from concerts and guitar.
Trust me. Yeah.
I saw Slipknot. The most metal show I
Nice.
think I've ever seen was Slipknot back in 2000. Their first
Yeah.
tour. It was the worst show I've ever been to because we played in this little venue and they had it
Oh,
cranked like it was a
wasn't good.
stadium, dude.
Yeah.
It was all distorted. I couldn't even hear.
Oh no.
And then
Too
of course
loud.
it was all floor seats. And like once Slipknot came out, I was at the front row, right? 15
Yeah.
seconds later, I was like 15 rows back. Don't know how it happened. And I got kicked in the head because the
'Cause
pits,
of
dude.
The pit.
Oh,
Yeah.
and I seen Pantera too
Oh, cool.
in 2003.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. You never get to see them.
Yeah, I was grateful that
You
I
gotta
got
see
to
Slayer, man.
Oh,
Actually, I don't
well, they're
think playing
retiring
anymore.
now. I know. I would love to see Slayer.
But that was one of the sickest shows I've ever.
You got to see
Pit was just
Metallica
like-
back in the day, man. There you go. So that's
Yeah,
on
I've seen a lot
puppets.
of good shows actually.
I bet. I
lot of
can only
classic
imagine what you've
shows.
seen.
Morbid Angel and stuff.
Morbid Angel. I seen them.
Back
They
in the
were-
day, like Altars of Madness, like that tour.
Okay. They were with Pantera, dude. Morbid Angels with
They're
Pantera.
amazing live, right?
Yeah. I was digging
Trey.
it. But they're more
Yeah.
that like,
Like death metal.
Yeah, but like the people that were going to see
Guitar, his
Pantera,
solo's
it's
pretty
like
sick.
yeah.
Yeah.
I loved it. I thought it was cool. I didn't
Yeah,
know
yeah.
of them until I saw them play with Pantera, and then I saw Soulfly, which I got
Oh, I
bored.
remember them.
I got bored, man. It was so boring.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Well,
I
it was
liked,
Sepultura. Sepultura was,
Sepultura was cooler.
yeah, I
thought,
love them.
before.
and then they turned into Soulfly, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't like
Well, I
it.
think it was just Max, right?
Yeah.
In Soulfly?
And
Yeah.
they were with Nothing Face, which is a band that
Oh,
never really went
Nothing
anywhere.
Face.
Yeah.
I vaguely remember them.
They were kind of big. I'm not big. I don't remember. Early 2000s, and then
Do you like Voivod? You listen to Voivod?
yeah, I've listened to a little bit of them.
They're pretty cool, like progressive.
Yeah,
Kinda.
I like progressive
Interest-
metal. Yeah.
They do a lot of interesting chords, I think, Voivod.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that's
Like,
the band
voicings
Jason was
were-
in, right?
Were interesting.
Did he start that band or he just joined that band?
He
New
joined
sta-
later on. 'Cause
Later
they
on?
started in like the 80s.
Okay. Yeah, I know he was in Flotsam, and then
Yeah, he was in Flotsam at the time. When
they're a Canadian
Voivod-
band, right?
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yep.
That's what I thought. I know who they
The
are.
guitarist passed away, though.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember
yeah.
hearing about that. Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh yeah, dude. We'd love if we just want to chat about metal, dude, not have an interview. We could totally do
No,
it.
yeah.
Because I'm sure there's some bands I don't know
Yeah,
of.
you
that-
might have to edit this video. Yeah,
I'll
edit out all
edit
the
some
metal.
stuff. Yeah, I'll edit some of it. We'll keep it in there, man, because there's some good stuff in there.
Cool.
And
Yeah, it's fun, man.
it talks about who we are and where we
Yeah,
came
totally.
from and our journeys. So everybody's journey is different, and
Yeah.
we're metal
Absolutely.
dudes.
That's right.
All right, Peter, man. I really appreciate it. I'll let you go. 'Cause I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure
man.
you got some stuff to do.
All right, yeah,
Thanks
yeah.
again. I really I'll let you know when it comes up. Okay, I'll send you the link.
Okay, cool.
Cool,
Sounds
man.
good, man.
Take care. Have a good
great
weekend.
day. All
Take
right.
care.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye bye.